obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Friday, 23rd day of June, 2017. Happy Friday. Everybody's been working for the weekend, and here it is. Now, a reminder that next weekend is going to be a long weekend. Big long weekend. It's probably going to start early Friday. Then you have your Saturday, your Sunday. Then you have the day that hung between the weekend and the holiday, known as Monday. Then Tuesday, you've got 4th of July holiday. And then Wednesday, you've got recover from the big weekend day. And so next week's good, but then it's the following week that we may have 2 active days during that week. So we'll see. We'll just see what happens, okay? All right. But we're glad you're here today. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the very first time, then a special welcome to you. If you cannot see the chart I have up, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. That registers you through the end of the month. Only once per month do do you have to go through that painful 30-second registration. Then you join the show for the rest of the month with one-click access. So it's always good to do it on the first day of the month. You can also take another route and go to youtube.com/CFRN. Click where it says live, and there it is. Not only do you see the charts, either path you take, but you also have access to the chat box. So anything you have questions about, any thoughts, ideas, opinions that you want to share with our global audience, that's a great way to do it. Okay? All right. On this fine Friday, let's take a look at the numbers around the world. We'll start here in the U.S., where everything's green. Kind of like yesterday, not by much, but it's green. The Dow's up almost 16 points. NASDAQ is up almost 18. S&P 500 is up almost 5. And the Russell 2000 is up almost 8. No movers, no shakers, but all green. Just barely, but green nonetheless. In the commodity basket, that's green as well. Crude oil is up 37 cents, trading $43.11. Gold is up $7.40, trading $12.56.80. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei closed up 22 points. Shanghai closed up 10 points. And this is our first red market of the day. Hang Seng closed down 4.5 points. Not a lot, but it is the first red of the day. Which leaves Europe, where red is the color of the day. FTSE closed down 15 points. The DAX closed down 60 points. Closest thing we have to a mover and a shaker, almost half of 1%. And the CAC closed down almost 16 points. So that is your quiet Friday. Asian markets mixed, European markets red. Here at home and in the commodity basket, everything is green. The green, green grass of home. Now, we had an explanation this morning. Trump explained why he floated the idea that he had recorded conversations between himself and James Comey. The president said he did it to pressure the former FBI director to keep his story straight. Speaking in an interview with Ainsley Earhart of Fox News, Trump first said he was generally suspicious of the FBI and intelligence apparatus in charge of the investigation into his presidential campaign ties to Russia, saying, "You never know what's happening when you see that the Obama administration, and perhaps longer than that, was doing all of this unmasking and surveillance." Trump fired Comey, who, as FBI director, was leading the Bureau's Russia investigation on May 9th. 3 days later, Trump tweeted that Comey better hope there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. In light of his suspicion, Trump said in Friday's interview today, he suggested he may have taped Comey in an effort to keep him honest. When he found out that that there might be some tapes out there, whether it's governmental tapes or anything else, and who knows, I think his story may have changed, Trump said. Now, Comey, for his part, just seems to be just as wary of his interactions with the president. Comey testified in front of the Senate earlier this month that he had written memos detailing his private interactions with Trump because he was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting. "Lordy, I hope there are tapes," Comey said, of the possibility that he was recorded. Today's interview, however, Trump drew attention to a different part of Comey's testimony in which Comey, for the first time, publicly confirmed Trump's claim that the FBI under Comey had not investigated Trump personally in relation to its Russia investigation. He did admit that what I said was right, Trump told the world in the interview today. And if you look further back, before he heard about that, I think maybe he wasn't admitting it. So, if you want to see the interview, just go to fox.com, and it's all there. And I'm sure there'll be tweets to follow, if there haven't been some already. So that really is the big headline for the day. We have some lesser Uber, Travis Kalanick type headlines. We'll talk about those in a few moments, but for now, we'll get over to Michael, get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today as we round out and wrap up this somewhat quiet week in the markets. Michael, if you're ready, you can take it away.
I am ready. Bringing it over. All right. You should be looking at it.
Not yet. There we go.
All right.
Now we got it. Okay. I'll be here when you're done.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 23rd day of June 2017. Let's see. If you have not signed up for a free trial with us, then Karen, is it still happening? If you have not signed up for a free trial with us, then go to the homepage here at CFRN.net. And right here at the top it says click here. Just click there. And then it'll bring you to this other page. Just fill out these two forms and click register now. Yeah, just fill out these two slots and click register now. It's not two forms. It's two little slots. We just want your first name and your email address. Click register now. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay? Now the spreadsheet. Okay, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Okay. Alright. As I said, today is the 23rd day of June. Today we made 2 ticks in the euro, 22 ticks in gold. Not gold, crude, sorry. See, that is crude oil. We made nothing in gold, nothing in the YM. So that put us up 232.50 on the morning. See, it's been a really quiet week. Yellow day Monday, and 110, 100, 140. It's been a quiet 2 weeks, really. Today it took 28 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $7 a contract. And we took, sorry, 28 minutes and 1 trade. At that point, we're up $100 a contract. We took a total of 7 opportunities this morning. Gross monthly profit so far 2012, that's over 17 days, averaging $118 per day. Okay, scroll down to the bottom. On the year now, 18,147, that's over 118 days, averaging $153 per day. Okay, again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosure stuff down at the bottom. Okay, yeah. I didn't mean to click on that. I guess it's okay that I clicked on it. I didn't show anybody's email or anything, except mine. Alright. Now, we'll get into this. Alright, here we go. This was gold today. And we were not trending here, so we did not try anything right here. Then we got a lower swing in place. So there was a shorting opportunity right there that I missed. Okay, then we did not put a lower swing in place, so there was not one there and not one there. Then over here, when it finally closed down again, the cycle was going up too steep. I would not have done anything in here during the break. Okay, I would have been looking to get up above that level right there, close above that level. Okay, so gold is really quiet, really, really quiet. The euro, let's see, in here, that was at 954. Well, I missed this right here on the euro, 954. I had that big leg up right there. And then the cycle came collapsing down, resetting. Went back up. Once we got a big move up, it went back up. And then was an opportunity right in here. We got one tick on that one. We missed that one. And we got one tick on this one. Now, I had to put in a lower swing. It still hasn't broken dynamic support yet. So that is it on the euro today. On crude, we had a couple of good moves on crude. I don't know what happened with the crude right here, but fortunately we were there with it. The first opportunity was right in here. We missed that one, but we got into this one, and we got our goal with this one trade right here. We got our 10 ticks profit. Then there was an opportunity for another 10 and another 10, and then I think this one would have stopped out. You can see where the high is on that. 43.12 down to 43.03. Yeah, if you'd have gotten into that, you would have stopped out. We changed directions here, and right here the black step line had crossed up above the BBC. That's why we didn't do that. Okay, then right in here we got one tick, putting us at 11. Right here we got 10, putting us at 21, and over here we got one more, putting us at 22. All right, since then we wanted to see it put in a higher swing for anything on the long side. It did not do that, and just now it gave a shorting opportunity off the BBC. So the stop should be at break even now on that. Okay. The YM we didn't do a thing with. Okay. The ES had one quick move today, and the YM moved with it. But before that, there just wasn't all that much to do there because of the ES in the zones. I'll show you the ES in the zone. See, it started out down here inside this zone. Then it got right up above it a little bit. Then it made one move right here, 10.16. Up to 10:45, so it took a half an hour, but it was one move pretty much straight up, and it's been there ever since. Natural gas, we did do something with natural gas. Now we are going to be starting Monday. We're going to roll natural gas to the Q contract, and we're going to roll soybeans to the X contract. Okay, and we'll probably be doing soybeans in here starting Monday because I love November soybeans. But on the natural gas, we had just this one opportunity right here. Okay, and we ended up with a break even on that. And that's it. That was it for the day, guys. Pretty quiet morning. Okay. Now let me bring you back over here. Okay. This is our spreadsheet, goes back 4.5 years. Today is the 23rd of June, 2017. Yeah, I know. Well, that's all I want to trade beef is November ones. The rest of them I don't like so much. But today we were +2 in the euro, +22 in crude. That's 232.50 gross. It took 28 minutes in one trade to get to the goal. At that point, we're up 100, and we took a total of 7 today. On the month, we're up 2,012.50. It's over 17 days, averaging 118 per day. Okay. If you scroll down here, on the year now, gross is 18,147. That's over 118 days, averaging 153 per day. Now, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. All right. If you have not taken a trial with us, go to the home page here at CFRN.net. And right over here at the very top, it says, use our indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. If you click there, it'll bring you to this nice new landing page. How pretty that is. It's even got a video down at the bottom. I think the helicopter got a little wobbly there. But it's even got a video down at the bottom. Put in your name and your email, click register now. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, you will not get the free trial. Okay, because we don't know you clicked on it until you do that. All right, that's it. with that, we can pass it back out to Dwayne in Studio A in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking the nation's largest city park. Ha, I got it down.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Just getting the link set up for next week.
Oh, okay. Good. Then I'll take care of that one that just came in. Here's Dwayne. I could do that. But if he's not there, then it loses all its effect.
No, I'm right here. I just was trying to get this
I know.
Okay. All right, so that's taken care of. And I'll grab the screens.
Okay. And I will.
Recap of the recap.
Today it took one trade, 28 minutes to get to $100 per contract.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't get any better than that.
No, it does not. Thank crude oil. Thank crude oil for giving us that one nice trade.
Alrighty, some more fishing this weekend?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I got to take him to the doctor's today, though. I think he's got an ear infection.
Oh.
Yeah, he got one the last time he was down here too.
Hmm.
Both ears. I think it's because he's like going underwater in a hot tub, and it's probably, with all the jets going, it's probably blowing water into his ears. I don't know. The couple of times that he's been in the hot tub, I haven't been with him. He likes to go out there on his own because it's got these speakers that are in it, and he likes to play his music, which most of the time is pretty good, but some of the time I'd rather hear country.
So on Monday or Sunday night, we're rolling natural gas and we're rolling soybeans.
Yes, soybeans to the X and natural gas to the Q.
Soybeans.
That is November and August.
Okay. Got it. Alrighty. Well, guys, earnings season is upon us. You'd think investors would have figured out how to trade on corporate earnings. Maybe have it down to a science by now. I mean, it repeats itself quarter after quarter, year after year, but not so much. Investors are frequently, according to Goldman Sachs, ill-positioned for the pre-announcements that companies often make leading up to their scheduled earnings releases. They've gleaned this information from the options market. And for whatever their sins, there's some pretty smart guys over at Goldman Sachs. They've gleaned their information from the options market. Now that's key. Now Michael does options. I'm not an options guy. Bert is very well versed in the world of options. If you ever have a question on options, give him a call. Now, according to Goldman Sachs, while traders are braced for increased volatility during the period most jam-packed with actual earnings reports, they're woefully out of position in the weeks leading up to the releases. This is potentially problematic, particularly heading into second quarter earnings. Over the past 6 years, July has been the second most popular month for corporate pre-announcements, according to Goldman's data. The firm finds that the second week of July has historically been the peak for pre-announcements, yet implied volatility sits far below the period from the end of the month through mid-August. We believe, we as in Goldman Sachs, believe the options market often overlooks these historically stock-moving catalysts for shares. The reasons corporations pre-announce can vary. In many cases, a company that realizes it's headed for an earnings miss will let the investment public know ahead of time so they can calibrate their expectations accordingly. Companies may also pre-announce to spread the blow to their stock price over a longer period, resulting in a more muted move by the day the report actually comes out. The stock impact immediately following the pre-announcement is precisely what Goldman thinks is being overlooked. Of course, pre-announcements can also have a positive impact on shares. So, what's the best way to play the directional uncertainty? Now, I'm going to speak a little Greek here. Goldman has a solution, options straddles, which involves the purchase of both call and put contracts. If the stock price moves up dramatically, a trader can use the call option to buy shares at a big discount. While if the price drops far enough, the put option itself will turn into a profit. On a sector basis, technology and healthcare has previously seen the most pre-announcement activity heading into second quarter earnings. The unofficial start of the earnings season comes July 19th when the market bellwether Alcoa reports. The Alcoa is always the first one out of the gate, and some say as Alcoa goes, so goes the season. Nah, I don't know so much about that. And, of course, past performance is no indication of future results. Doesn't matter who says it. Goldman Sachs, or even if you divine the information yourself from just studying the charts, historical observance. Just because it was a lock for the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10, with the markets, embrace all possibilities. Now, going down a different path. Let me see if I have all of the notes to this topic that I was going to touch on just real quickly. And I think I don't. Now, why would that be? Okay, maybe I found my link. Okay. Now, we are the Christian Financial Radio Network, and so we talk about the markets every day. 22 hours a day, it's teaching and preaching. We've been streaming 24/7 since 2005, well into our second decade. Monday through Friday, we pause for 2 hours to come on and talk with you live about whatever's happening in the markets, whatever's happening in the world, and to answer any questions that you may have about who we are and what we do. And this is something we don't talk about very much, but this headline caught my attention, so we'll talk about it for a minute. We're not going to beat it to death, because everybody else in the world beats it to death, so we'll just speak lightly. Question: who are the 10 richest mega pastors? Now, one might say, well, why would someone even pose that question? Has anyone asked who are the 10 richest mega bricklayers? Or the 10 richest hedge trimmers? Or the 10 richest mega plumbers? No, you don't hear that talked about very much. Now, why is that? Well, the plumber tells you up front, I guess, that he's going to charge you $50 an hour. And you realize that he's making more with his pipe wrench than you're making with your law degree. Well, that's a tale for another day. It's because of the fact that you, the member of the congregation, or a congregant of that congregation, whoever they might be, and I guess I'll tell you here in a minute, people have given their plumbing money, their hedge trimming money, their bricklaying money to the church, and the church has then in turn paid the pastor. At least that's how it works in most situations. I don't know if he's on the list, but someone that you hear a lot on CFRN during those 22 hours a day when we're not live is Pastor Mark Driscoll. When he left Seattle and Mars Hill Church, which he had built up from, you know, I think he had a little help from God, but from a living room meeting of some high school students to something like 12, 13 campuses. He had just gotten a raise that put him at $600,000 or a little over $600,000 a year, and he tendered his resignation. Now, the elders of the church had put him on alert that he might be overstepping his bounds. He might not be showing, the proper respect to the elders of the church and even some of the congregants. And like him or not, he does preach the gospel, according to Mark. He's not a soft-spoken guy like Joel Osteen. He's actually a pretty hard-hitting guy. In fact, one of his hobbies is mixed martial arts. So anyway, facing a increase in pay, he stepped down from his job. Now, here's the kicker. 13 campuses strong. So that means you've got 13 different physical locations. Each physical location had its own campus pastor, even though on a Sunday morning, Mark would preach at one of the campuses and his sermon would be broadcast on the big screen to the other physical locations. You with me? Okay. So, when he got called on the carpet, he said, I need to take a sabbatical and think about this. The elders said, well, that seems appropriate. So he took a month or two off. He came back and they held a meeting and he said, I quit. And they're like, whoa, hang on. We didn't ask you to quit. We're not kicking you to the curb. We just wanted you to be a little more mindful, of how you treat people. People that are perhaps above you and below you. And he said, nah. He goes, I've crossed the line and I need to go. They tried to talk him into staying. He went anyway. Within 2 months, the entity known as Mars Hill Church was gone. Gone. Now, I had often questioned on this show and in private conversations, had Mark Driscoll become the star of the show on Sunday mornings, more so than God himself? Were people coming to have a meeting with their Creator, to spend time in worship, corporate worship? Or were they coming to see Mark because he had such a dynamic and engaging personality, such an incredible stage presence? Were they simply coming to be entertained by Mark and the whole God thing was sort of secondary? I posed that question to a lot of people, and most everyone I posed it to said, oh, no. Oh, no, he's a real deal. He's very genuine. And I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just giving you the backdrop on how much influence that some of these pastors hold over the lives of their congregation. And so, you know, how do you justify how much somebody should get paid? There's a TED Talk. Doesn't have anything to do with religion, but there's a TED Talk you can bring up on charitable giving. And if you don't know what TED Talks are, Google that and prepare yourself for a very exciting journey as you listen to different people around the world talk about things that they know a lot about. And boy, will you find some interesting conversations out there. They typically run about, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes longer. But one of the TED Talks I heard, which was the most profound, had to do with charitable giving. Now, I'm chasing down a rabbit hole here, getting away from the main topic for just a moment, because I want you to be able to compare the two and then ask yourself, is this the same thing or is it different? Okay. A lot of the large charitable organizations have CEOs or people sitting on their board of directors that make a considerable sum of money. Maybe 300, 400, 500,000, maybe even more. And so many people will point a finger at that charitable organization and say, how can you expect the good people of this planet to donate money? People who are struggling to get by, how can you expect them to donate money to this organization when you're paying your top dog, over $500,000 a year? Okay, that seems totally legitimate, and I held that same argument until I heard this particular TED Talk, and they said, what if you had an organization, and we'll just call it XYZ organization, who truly did good charitable work all around the world, fed the hungry, clothed the naked, housed the homeless, did all of the things that a charitable organization should do, or maybe they specialized in one thing, pet rescue, whatever it is. It's a charitable organization, but they have to hire people and pay them salaries to run the organization. Okay? Now, you can put in as your CEO or as your head of the board of directors an individual who's capable of raising, 50, 20, 30, $100 million a year. Or you could hire this college professor who is willing to leave his, college professor job, just using that as an example, come run the charitable organization that he's volunteered his time to for many years, and he doesn't know how to raise $100 million a year. He knows how to run off some flyers on the mimeograph machine, the copier, and maybe put them up in laundromats around town. We really need your donations. Could you help? Call 1-800-FEED-THE-CAT. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I began to chew on that and put it in perspective, I'm like, because what this TED Talk did was it changed my belief structure on the higher ups in these charitable organizations that were paid what appeared to be large sums of money, salaries. Okay, so which is better? A guy who will work for practically nothing and has a skill set that allows him to raise, $1 million a year for the organization, or a guy who you've got to pay him $500,000 to get him on board, but he can raise $100 million. Which is right and which is wrong? I think the more you think and dwell on that, you'll pretty quickly come to the conclusion that I did. That if you want incredible talent, if you want people who have resources and know people and who can make phone calls and get the phone call returned, get into meetings that the other guy, could never get into. He knows people. He has connections. He hangs out on the weekend with a lot of deep pockets, that kind of thing. So I had to rethink my whole belief system on the administrative burden of public charities. So I hope you'll bring up that TED Talk and that you'll have a listen and that you'll give some thought. And I would really be interested to hear what your opinion is. Okay? Is it better to have $1 million a year or $100 million a year? Well, obviously it's better to have $100 million a year to work with. At what cost? How do we justify who we're going to pay to put in the key positions? And it's usually more than one, not just one person, but a board of people like that. So, back to just this little topic I wanted to talk about, the 10 richest mega pastors. And why do we single them out as opposed to the bricklayer and the hedge trimmer and the sandwich maker? No, I guess it's because we give them our money, right? They don't earn it. We don't think of it like that. They don't earn the money. They have committed themselves to the ministry, and then we work hard, so that they can live and eat. Just remember the cautionary tale of Mars Hill. A vibrant, thriving organization bringing in, I don't know how much a month. When the top dog, highest paid guy, walked away, it took them 2 months to vanish. Gone. Now, am I saying it's right that people should be showing up and giving their money so they can be entertained by this guy who has an incredible stage presence? Man, we're getting into some deep conversation here. And I don't have the answers. I'm just giving you something to think about. So at the top of the list of the mega pastors is Joseph Prince. And quite frankly, he's not even a guy that I'm very familiar with. I think he's on the TBN network. Joseph Prince. Now when they say the 10 richest in this little... Joseph Prince was born to a Sikh priest, that's S-I-K-H, and originally went on a religious path. In life, employed as an IT consultant, Joseph had a change of heart and committed his life to his religion. He joined the ministry and founded one of the largest churches in all of Asia, New Creation Church. Okay. John, is that you? John? Okay. All right. Well, we'll try that again when he pops back in. So, John, are you there? All right. John, are you there? I hear someone in the background.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Right. Welcome to the show. Guys,
yeah,
we'll pick up here in a few minutes right where we left off. Go ahead.
Just one sec. Been a fairly dramatic few days here this week. We had a very good week. Yesterday, if you remember, I think we were saying we were selling a lot of the stocks at their highs yesterday. Some of the promised stocks had run up dramatically. And one of them in particular, which is Blue, easy to remember name, is being pretty electrifying. It ran up to 121 yesterday, 122. We sold it somewhere up around there, and as you know, we automatically go short. It opened down this morning. It got down to 106, we bought it at 106, which was quite difficult to do, and it ran up to 112, which amazingly, and then we sold it at 112 or 111 and a half, and it went back down to 106 and a half, got back in, and we're out right now about 108. So just can't believe we've been able to pick that stock so well, and several other stocks like this Clovis that I mentioned. It's gone from being a screamer yesterday to just coming back. It ran up to 96, 7 3/4 yesterday, came down to 92 and a half. Just actually gave a buy signal 92 and a half a minute ago, and it looks pretty good here now. Maybe it's starting to get traction again. Nvidia was also a bit wobbly this morning, came down. We shorted it at 159 yesterday. We covered it at about 155.60 a short while ago. That was a very difficult bottom to pick. We were long the Nasdaq going into yesterday's peak and sold it, shorted it, and it went down overnight. Ran up a little bit overnight. It went positive to about 5 or 10 points. We actually sold that, and amazingly, we managed to get cover in reverse around 57.65 this morning, and it's currently at 68.10, and I think it's going to go to 58.10. I think it's going to go to 58.20, possibly within the next hour or two. The market has certainly gotten its mojo back, and what I said, may have said yesterday was, we had this same thing happen on Tuesday. We had a kind of a weak close where everything looked like it was going to, collapse. And unlike today, it didn't actually go any lower really on the open. It started going up a little bit overnight, and the market turned and took off. And we had the big Nasdaq rally on Wednesday, up about 50, 60 points, which we participated in for the entire move. And however, as I said on the show yesterday, we didn't get any buy signals on the Dow or the mid cap or the S&P on Wednesday, then yesterday, and then Wednesday night, overnight, we started to get a buy. And yesterday they ran up somewhat before kind of turning down again, or like overnight. And we got back in same time, coincidentally with the bottom on the Nasdaq this morning. I think we got in the S&P around 24.29, 24.30, somewhere like that. And the Dow around about 21.290, and the mid cap around 17.35. So I mean, I can't believe we've been able to do it that precisely, but we've done unbelievably. The coffee that we talked about yesterday, actually, right after the show, I put a buy signal out. I think it was about 115.75 or something like that. It was under 116. We just put a stop on it at 123 this morning. That is a monster move. I think bottom top on the coffee. And actually we got a confirmed buy at 118. So it's been a really spectacular. All of the stuff that was weak yesterday, the cocoa, the orange juice, sugar, everything has turned except for the grains. The grains are still acting like dogs, and they're really not looking very good at all. The gold also is we got, we originally called that lows at 12.42 on the gold, ran up to 12.55. We sold at 12.54. We got back in right after the show yesterday. There was a bit of a test where it went down to 12.48. We put in a really nice buy. We went for that, and it went up to this 57, 58, 59 actually. Sold it up around the 59 and sold the silver up around the 16.73. And they're currently on their way down, and I think it's going to drag the gold stocks down. It's already starting to drag up and out short now. And also the J dust look like they're they have a bit of a balance. They're not doing anything particularly strong at the moment, but that could change before the day is out. I'm not really The gold stocks are acting so well, I wouldn't, I'd be ready to cover at a moment's notice and go back long on these things. Because the gold could do something like it did yesterday, where it might even be doing it right now. It sort of probed down a bit here and tests and then suddenly start to go up. But the problem is next Tuesday there is a silver option expiration. Normally they try to push the market down ahead of that, and that may factor in. It may factor into the deal. We have to take that into account. But the second last time there was an options expiration was when we were having that big rally, and they weren't able to push it down into the options expiration. So if that happens, like if we suddenly get strong here between now and the weekend or next week, and start going back up, I think you've got to go bullish on gold if that happens. Because the last time if they get caught short on the silver, and there's a massive short position in the silver still, it could really be, and if you start to see silver lead the way higher, like it did for a while last night, then it's certainly encouraging. The metals are still a bit of a mess. Last night actually we called a breakout on copper at around 259. And listen, I didn't know this was going to happen. I just took a position, and next thing you know, bang! It's up 4 or 5 cents in the night. And I think this is actually, the bonds haven't broken down yet. They're trying to, but if they get below 156 and a quarter, maybe 156.10, that could happen. It would be helpful to the market, I think, if that happens. The dollar did tank below 197 this morning. It's kind of rallying a bit right now, which is part of the problem for the gold, maybe. Given it's a Friday and we're rallying fairly strongly into the Friday afternoon, the FANGs are doing very well. Amazon has sort of just started to break out above this retest that happened right after the Whole Foods purchase. Google's been acting well. Netflix is acting extremely well, and Facebook is actually close to making new highs. The one thing that you want to keep in mind is the internals of the market. While the advanced decline is still very good, the internals of the market, the actual number of stocks that are above their 50-week moving average is declining quite markedly, actually.
Yeah, we're a couple weeks away from earnings seasons too.
Right. Well, what it could do, it could set the market up for a sudden sell-off, because this is sort of a prelude or a precursor to. No, it doesn't. It might take another month or so, before this happens. But it just, I think that if the market's not as strong as it was, a month ago or a month or two ago, as it's going higher, it's getting less strong. Even though there's things like, Facebook or some stocks are still making new highs. We're not making new highs in the Nasdaq today, so that's an example that we're not as strong as we were. And we've got quite a ways to go before that happens. What is impressive is the mid-cap continues to act pretty well, and I still believe the mid-cap is potentially going to break out, possibly lead the whole market higher into more of a parabolic up move next week. We could actually even, if the market internals start to turn up and more stocks rebound, that would actually be, help the bullish case quite a lot. So, but the fact that these commodities are turning upwards is sort of encouraging. It probably means that we've just been through a bit of a soft spot in the economy, and the other thing to watch is, look, I think if the bonds start cracking, that's when the market's going to really go strong. If we get the dollar breaking down and the bonds breaking down, then the market could get a real big wind. That could possibly happen next week. You know, if we could be making a top here on the bonds. I wouldn't swear on it because the bonds have been going up quite strongly for quite a while now, and the markets have been going up as well, which is amazing. But if the bonds start breaking, that could actually give the market some tremendous up power in July. And look, seasonally, the first 2-3 weeks of July are very, very bullish. 9 times out of 10, it's a very, almost always get a very big run. Sometimes going into Independence Day, and sometimes, almost always afterwards, for a couple of weeks, at least. Sometimes these moves are really, really bullish in early July. So that could be a sort of a mini blow-off type thing that could happen at that time. I guess so. You're probably still short the grains.
Actually, we're rolling into November beans. The X contract, Sunday night will be our first alert out on soybeans. Last night, we said to consider selling 902, which we missed most of that move. We caught part of it here off the open. We spiked down to 9, and now we're sitting at we're still back to 9.01. So yeah, we didn't it looks like it wants to head lower, so we missed most of that.
Right. The energy ran up a little bit, quite a bit actually from yesterday. It seems to be getting a bit heavy here, and the gasoline is down as well. It's weaker, excuse me. The natural gas did rally. We had a buy stop in anticipation of that. Actually, if we break down below 43 again on the oil, to get back, it could break down to new lows. It doesn't look that great on the chart. I think you probably agree with that. And maybe on your sell field, you're probably going to have a sell stop somewhat below the crude. Maybe down to 42.75 or somewhere down there. I mean, it did put in a bit of a spike, and it is. It's trying to go higher even right now. It's trying to get some. Look, I would think if we get above the 43.5, we could be out of trouble. I did actually say the lows might be in on the energy this morning. And when I looked at the chart, it didn't really grab me. It didn't really inspire too much. Oh, by the way, did you see Trump's speech a couple of days ago in Iowa?
I've caught bits and pieces of it. I didn't see the whole thing start to finish.
You know what? It was a great speech. It was what was great about it was he was very relaxed, and I think he pretty much was off the cuff. Maybe he had some help to read off something, but it was a very genuine speech, and it was really, he made a lot of great points in the speech. It was riveting actually. It was more than an hour, and it was, I actually watched it this morning, and it was watched half of it the other day, and I watched it this morning, and really was a very, very good speech. This guy's getting better and better all the time, and even though there's all this incoming all the time, I think he's kind of like Reagan, the Teflon Don. They used to call him, or the Teflon, or the Teflon president, not the Teflon Don. That was the mafia guy.
Right.
Yeah, but he's kind of, I think he's, like I said, I don't think he doesn't get too phased. Trump. Listen, the nuggets and things are starting to pick up here again. So, and the metals have that last test on the metals was sort of similar to what happened yesterday, except the silver is not confirming it yet. So, I'm hoping to have a gold and silver report out by Monday. So I'll get it over to you, and maybe we can get
Okay. Sounds good.
Okie doke. Pretty big weekend. It's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix Formula One, which I'm looking forward to. There's a chart that they put together with all the different points of all the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send it over to you. It's a very interesting chart. Anyway, believe it or not, Hamilton is, according to this chart, is the greatest F1 driver of all time. And unless something bad happens to him, it looks like his career is going to end anytime soon. So he could become the all-time winner of just about everything if he keeps going at the rate he's going at the moment, which is amazing.
What day is the race, or is it all weekend?
Sunday. Well, they have they have the qualification on the Saturday.
Right.
Races on the Sunday, and because it's in Azerbaijan, it's probably going to be around 6 in the morning, something like that, 6 or 7 in the morning. It's usually on the NBC Sports. The races have been very good this year because it's extremely competitive between Ferrari and Mercedes, and actually the first 4 or 5 teams are all very close, and it's kind of anybody's race these days, which is always good, you know.
Yeah.
And by the way, the America's Cup Part 2 is on this weekend, so if Oracle doesn't pull it out, if they don't get their act together this weekend, I think the America's Cup is going south. So anyway, we'll see if they come up with a way to make the boat go faster. But it was an absolute walkover last week, and it was humiliating. Almost, you know, it was pretty bad. And a 25-year-old sailor as well. Kind of amazing. And the other thing that's going on this weekend is Mexico's playing Russia on Saturday morning, so that could be interesting too. The World Cup, the Confederations Cup.
So is that the number one sport in Russia?
Say again,
is that the number one sport in Russia?
Football, yeah, football is a pretty big deal. I mean, they're not the Russian team. They're actually ranked about 68 in the world, and Mexico's ranked somewhere in the top 10 or 20. So there's likelihood that Mexico will win, but the Russians have been playing quite well. I think they drew with, I'm not sure if Portugal beat them or not, but they're a pretty good team. They're a pretty good team. They did quite well in the last World Cup. Usually when the host country sort of gets a special win, and a lot of times host countries can win, have won the cup, it sometimes happens that way. But it should be fascinating, this World Cup happening in Russia this time around, and in Qatar, and the stadiums they're building in Qatar for the 2022 World Cup are just beyond spectacular. They're kind of like air conditioned and everything. Can you believe? And I mean, they're spending. I mean, Putin spent 55 billion on the Winter Olympics. I think the Qataris are spending more than 100 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. And the next World Cup after that is possibly going to be in Britain, in England, or in U.S., Canada, and Mexico combined. They're bidding for I think they're bidding for the next World Cup. That's sort of a triple nation type event, which I think is great. So, looking forward to that.
Well, John, enjoy it. Have yourself a great weekend, and we'll talk to you Monday morning.
Okay, all the best. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Okay. That echo always throws me off. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Karen, so your sound worked itself out. Okay, good. I'm just looking through the questions here. Jake shouldn't fly with an ear infection. Shouldn't, from Pete, it says it shouldn't matter so long as both churches remember that the money belongs to God. Yeah, well, this is true. Just private, Frederick. Not a public website or anything. Just an old friend. Okay. Now let's finish up real quick that little talk. It was a huge lead into it, but now I'm going to unload. You may be familiar with these names, but for the most part, I'm not. We were talking about the 10 richest pastors in the world as of 2017. And more importantly, why does it matter? We don't talk about the bricklayer, the hedge trimmer, or the sandwich maker. But, again, what I'd really like you to do is to go to that TED Talk and find the one on charitable giving and listen to how they explain. Some would say justify paying these guys huge salaries, but what is the end result? Obviously, every charitable organization that believes in their mission wants to raise as much money as they possibly can to do whatever it is that they, if it's feed the cat or save the dog or whatever it might be, feed the hungry. You know what I'm talking about. It may not look good on the surface. That's what I always thought. Oh my gosh, their administrative burden's too high. Not enough of what I give, gets to the people who need it. But there is another way of looking at it. So kind of keep that in mind. Watch that TED Talk. And then I'm just going to run real quick through the top 10. Joseph Prince, again, someone I'm not really familiar with, head of the largest church in all of Asia, receives a salary of $550,000 a year. He was born to a Sikh, that's S-I-K-H, priest, worked as an IT consultant. His unlikely career has garnered a grand following worldwide from his native Malaysia to the U.S. This popularity is partially thanks to such friend as Joel Osteen of Lakewood Megachurch, who has hosted a number of his sermons. One of the most internet savvy of the pastors listed, Prince also has an online video and podcast with a following from over 150 countries. Next, that was number 10 actually. Number 9, T.B. Joshua. Not familiar. Considered a prophet by most of his congregation, Joshua has a unique and notable influence in his native country of Nigeria. While primarily preaching from his home city of Lagos, Nigeria, Joshua has over 1.5 million Facebook fans. He also has a history of sending anointed water to thousands of individuals worldwide, most notably during the recent Ebola crisis. There has been ongoing controversy regarding his claims to deliver people from possession, and there are 3 reported deaths in the UK linked to his church. These were reported to be cases where the individuals refused life-lengthening AIDS medication and instead relied on prayer for survival. Number 8. Now this is a name everybody's familiar with. Billy Graham. I remember as a kid, they actually would interrupt regularly scheduled network programming once a year for the Billy Graham Crusade. It would go, I think, about 3 nights. I can't imagine them doing that today, but when I was a kid, they did. Once called by many as America's pastor, Billy Graham is among the most well-known and long-lived pastors on the planet, born in 1918 and educated in anthropology and biblical studies at the Trinity Bible College in Florida. He has been a presence for many historic events of the past 2 generations, from bailing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail during the fight for civil rights, to directly writing and supporting Nixon during the Vietnam War. He has always been quite political minded. This fact has no doubt helped his following, with an estimated audience of around 2.2 billion individuals over the course of his career. Number 7, Kenneth Copeland. Now that's a name I am familiar with. 25 million. That's his net worth. Best known for his messages about prosperity and abundance, it appears Copeland can reference quite a bit of first-hand experience. Before his conversion to Christianity, he had commercial success as a recording artist. Did not know that. Releasing 1957's Pledge of Love, which made it to number 17 on the top 40 Billboard's chart. Copeland has had a lifelong love for flying as well, which allowed him, after conversion, to become the personal pilot of Oral Roberts before starting his own ministry and owning his own private jet. Copeland and his family also reside in a $6.3 million estate where television audiences are invited to sit around the table with the family on his TV program, Believer's Voice of Victory. Number 6, Creflo Dollar. I'm familiar with that name. Net worth $27 million. With dollar in his name, was there any doubt this pastor would appear on such a list? Known as one of the flashiest of American ministers, he owns a Rolls-Royce, multiple multi-million-dollar estates, and in recent years has been given an F by the Ministry Watch for Financial Transparency. To make matters worse, Dollar was arrested in 2013 for allegedly attacking his own daughter, but the charges were dropped after agreements to join anger management groups. He, like quite a few of his comrades in this list, preaches almost exclusively the prosperity gospel, while receiving a bachelor's in science for education from West Georgia College. It appears this pastor has yet to learn the intricacies of do unto others. Number 5, E.A. Attaboy. I don't know how else to pronounce it. Net worth $39 million. Enoch Attajer Attaboy began his career in preaching while still maintaining a professorship at the University of Lagos in Nigeria. It appears his PhD in mathematics continues to serve him well, as membership numbers of his Redeemed Christian Church of God continue to swell in over 100 countries. Attaboy has claimed a goal to put a church within 5 minutes of every home in the world. With 14,000 branches in Nigeria alone, it seems he has done so at least for his country. Benny Hinn, I'm sure we're all familiar with that name. Net worth $42 million. Benny Hinn is perhaps the most openly controversial of any American televangelist. Publicly claiming a gospel that empowers faith healing, he's been investigated by the United States Senate for manipulation of tax status, and his ministry has been flagged with a donor alert by Ministry Watch. Regardless of this financial situation, he continues to have a solid fellowship in both Canada and the U.S. Followers of his teachings believe that if they are prayed over, they can be healed of any malady. Among his many luxury possessions is a Gulfstream G4 jet. Number 3, Chris, I can't even begin to pronounce the last name, Oyakaholomi, net worth $50 million. Now this is another Lagos native. I'm interested in the number of people from Nigeria, one of the poorest countries in the world, on this list. Pastor Chris has an incredibly busy schedule to go with his wealth. His Believers Love World Incorporated not only contains an absolutely massive fellowship branch, but also branches for humanitarian aid and education. He also owns 3 separate television channels that garner up to 2.5 million views per nightly event. As is common for someone with the faith healing gospel, there is some backlash, particularly from the Treatment Action Campaign, against his claims of faith healing AIDS. As an interesting aside, as of 2017, South Africa is considering a warrant for his arrest if he and his organization do not become more financially transparent. And a name that probably everyone knows, Bishop T.D. Jakes, comes in at $147 million. Head of the Potter's House megachurch and Potter's Touch TV programs, T.D. Jakes is a common face on many national broadcast stations. Jakes has also been seen with both Presidents Bush during the Hurricane Katrina aftermath and Obama leading a morning church service in 2009, who have both commented on his faithful interest and actions. This is particularly notable as both his Bachelor and Master's of Arts degree came from an unaccredited institution, Friends International Christian University. Though he does make a sizable yearly sum as a pastor, most of his wealth has originated in sales of his gospel music, for which he has won at least 1 Grammy Award. He also has sold a lot of books. He gets paid for syndicated appearances. As it turns out, T.D. Jakes is also of Nigerian heritage, which was proven when he allowed for his DNA to be tested for a PBS program. And then coming in at number 1 on the list, never heard of him, Bishop David Oyedepo, net worth $150 million, coming in as a supposed host of the Holy Ghost with the most. The bishop heads the single largest church in the world. It's called Winners Chapel. It seats 50,000. As one of the main founders of the Nigerian Christian Charismatic Movement, he also exerts control over churches in 45 African nations, as well as several in Dubai, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Having been mentored by Attaboy, it is quite clear he took the formula of church expansion up a notch. Alongside churches, there has also been active outreach within his native continent, where his ministry has aided in the development of hospitals, schools, and maternity homes. As to be expected with such successes, 2 of his sons are following in his footsteps by heading up both the London and South African Winners Chapel divisions. Now, top guy, top of the list, $150 million. Step into the hedge fund world, and that's pocket change. But as pastors, it's a really huge deal. A big enough deal for them to make a list and for me to, even bring it up on the radio program. So, I don't speak ill of any of these men. It's what they do with their money and how they get their money and why people give them money. That's, between them and God. I'm just sharing the list with you. That's all. What I really would encourage you to do, though, is to go to TED Talk. And if you Google TED Talk charitable giving, you might come up with a couple or 3 different ones. But when you read the summary, you'll immediately know the one I'm talking about. How much they pay the administrative, CEO, head of the board of directors, that kind of thing. You'll spot it and go, oh, that's the one he was talking about. Listen to it and then give it some thought. And if you think like I used to think, it might change your way of thinking. I don't know. Let me know. I'd love to know. All right. Okay, we are coming down to the wire here. I have got to run. Let me show you here on the S&P real quick. We were up 2 3/4 points, and then this little move only had a point. came back down to this support area that we've seen for the last few days, and then we had a move up of 4 3/4 points. Okay. All right. I want to have a chance to go through all of them today. We already looked at gold and crude oil. I mean, you heard me read the numbers at the beginning. There just wasn't. Gold might have been the biggest mover of the day. This little run up here was worth $490 per contract. Keep in mind, we never get out at the swing high or the swing low because we trail our stop. Now, if you did not get an opportunity to grab a screenshot of the alerts from last night, let me drag them back out and give you one more chance, because then you can go through the list yourself. And do keep in mind that as of Sunday night, when the alerts come out, that ZSN at the bottom of the list will go to ZSX. And if I somehow forget between now and then, well, send me an email and I'll correct it. Okay? ZSX7. November beans, they are the kindest beans of all. At least they have been in the past few years. So, we'll just see what this November bean contract brings. Now, yesterday we told you that the board of directors had asked Travis Kalanick of Uber to step down. His employees, though, don't agree. Over 1,000 have petitioned for his return. Tesla is planning on creating its own proprietary music streaming service. Tesla CEO Elon Musk is in talks with major recording labels about creating a streaming service that would come bundled in all Tesla vehicles. Imagination Technologies, we talked about yesterday. Apple has no use for them anymore. Their stock tanked. They've put themselves up for sale. No word on the price. Yahoo is shutting down the news app it bought from 17-year-old Brit Nick D. Aloiso for reported $30 million. The app will stop being supported on June 30th. I mean, wow, that's kind of what you went to Yahoo for. Other than to check your email and the news, they did a pretty good job with the headlines. I wonder what's going to fill that hole. Online luxury fashion retailer Farfetch has raised close to $400 million. The money came from online Chinese mall JD.com, which is one of China's biggest e-commerce companies. Facebook is trying to stop scammers from stealing users' profile pictures. The social network has developed new tools designed to protect people's images from theft. A leaked guest list shows Snapchat sent 48 employees to court advertisers at the Cannes Lions Festival. Snapchat CEO Evan Spiegel was among them. Tech billionaire Sean Parker has stepped down from Spotify's board of directors as the company prepares to IPO. He's been on the board for 7 years. Elon Musk was the reason one of Apple's most famous developers left Tesla after only 6 months. Chris Latner and Tesla Elon Musk simply didn't get along. And if you can't get along with Elon, I guess you gotta get along. Get along now. And rounding out this list, Apple is planning to renegotiate the terms with music labels to reduce their revenue cut from its streaming service, according to Bloomberg. The deal Apple has with record labels is due to expire at the end of the month. Wonder how that's going to affect those of you who use the Apple Music service. I stopped using it. For the same money you get Spotify, and if you're a music fan, and I think Spotify is a better product. The user interface, the number of clicks it takes to get to the song that you really want to hear. That's all in all, I think it's a better experience. And to wrap things up today, guys, our good word for the day. Shalom. Exodus 33:14 says, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." The Hebrew word for peace is shalom. And apart from God, it will always remain a pipe dream, a philosophical fantasy, or a tantalizing fish that is just beyond your bait and hook. Marriages go awry and fall apart because we look to an imperfect mate to give us the perfect peace that we're searching for. And we discover they can't. The story is told of a woman at a cocktail party who was trying her best to look happy, put on a smile. Noticing the gargantuan sparkling rock on her finger, a guest exclaimed, "Wow, what a beautiful stone." She replied, "Thank you. It's the Calhoun diamond." The onlooker said, "Wow, wish I had one of those." The woman replied, No, you don't." "Well, why not?" he asked. "Because it comes with the Calhoun curse," she replied. "The Calhoun curse? What's that?" asked the questioner. She sighed and said, "That would be Mr. Calhoun." Perfect peace can only come from a perfect peace giver. And the only one who meets that qualification is God Himself. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of God in the midst of your problems. Jesus never said there'd be no storms. He just said you can have peace amidst the storm. "Fear not, for I am with you." What's more, nobody ever finds peace by looking for it. Peace isn't something you find. It finds you when you surrender your life to the one who said, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Note the words, "my presence." Only God's presence can bring us real peace. The assurance of God's love, God's help, and His presence is what takes the stress out of day-to-day living. Are you looking for peace? When you surrender your life to Christ, you'll experience peace far more wonderful than the human mind can understand. That would be the peace that surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4:7. That's our good word for the day, and I do hope peace finds you wherever you are this weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.